Did it check? Did it dump?
This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the horrorofbabylonpodcast@gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/thehorrorofbabylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to episode 112 of The Horror of Babylon, where we discuss the drawing of the three. I'm Ryan, and with me as always is Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
And Hef's here too.
How y'all doing? Good to be here.
On the long beach that is this podcast, I have opened 5 doors and drawn 5 gunslingers. The first of those gunslingers is Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben the Fourth, Patron of Hope, and Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain, yo.
Oh, she makes it rain. Did a check, did a chum. And thank you to Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall of Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, behind that door that's out there on that beach. And if you walk on through it, say hello to Ronald III, Krampus of Christmas.
Don't walk through any doors he offers, though.
Yeah, and do not call him Did It Dumb. He does not like it. Did it check? Did it dumb? And we just did our first giveaway yesterday on February 3rd for a foil Evil Dead MTG Secret Lair that was graciously given to us by Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming. It was won by our patron, the wonderful and beloved Logan, the Full Metal Patron.
You keep staring.
I'm not. You're just sitting here chuckling to yourself, and you're just like,
Did it check? Did it jump?
Is that what you're laughing at?
Yes.
He's been laughing at that for the last minute and a half. And
Did it check? Did it jump?
Fucking thing with his hands.
and then I'm out, and he's looking at me like half stop looking at me.
You think that's funny?
Doing this.
You think that's funny? If you ever reread this book, just picture the Lobstrosities as mini Zoidbergs.
No, I've got pictures of as you from now on.
I just wait for one of them to go, I'm John fucking Zoidberg!
I have that clip already loaded. So.
Scuttle on home. This ain't none of your business, Slick.
My name isn't Slick. It's Zoidberg. John Zoidberg.
I can just throw that right in there.
Hooray! You'll never guess where I've been.
I'm so into you. all right. I'll just go on and on.
That's what Eddie said.
That is what Eddie said. So we're doing another giveaway. Princess Bride Secret Lair next month. Anybody can win that. You don't have to be a patron. Stay tuned for the show for details on that. Hef, you have a new YouTube channel. And actually, Daniel, I don't think you've talked about yours much either. So, Hef, go ahead and...
Well, it's a bit of a side jaunt. I know originally we set it up as kind of like an archive for the previous Let's Plays that I've done up to this point, which it wasn't until I asked you, I was like, how many are there going to be before we need to start really ramping up that one too? And you're like, September. And I'm like, oh shit, have I done that many?
And that's releasing 3 a week.
That's what I'm like. I didn't
Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Yeah, I didn't count, but I was sitting in my head being like, that feels like a lot.
It is a lot.
I didn't think I'd done that many. But this is a new endeavor in a sense. It's actually going to be really nice because it's going to make some Let's Plays available that maybe you missed out on, so they're going to be a little bit more up to date. I'm going to try to keep active on those as far as letting people know, but we'd really appreciate your support on that one. Just if you enjoy some Let's Play content that's, not all the new stuff I guess that's going on, you want something a little bit more vintage, I mean, check it out.
Yeah, and that's at hef_GG on YouTube. Check it out, give it a sub. We greatly appreciate it. Daniel's also has another channel, which is vastly more successful than this channel.
Yeah, it's at Starfish Sicko on YouTube. And I mostly talk about Superman, power scaling, and Superman comics. Though I did just do a reaction to the Silent Hill 2 remake trailer they released yesterday. I put that out today. Because the S stands for Silent Hill. Really? Nothing. But if you like Superman or comic books,
I didn't get it.
Then check it out. I have this one dude who consistently comments on all of my videos and like, when are you gonna do like a full power scaling video on Superman? I'm like, I have to read like 500 comic books to do that properly, dude. Like,
sounds like fun.
I'll get to it, trust me. But I just did one where I did like 22 minutes of talking about how so much Superman can lift. And that's done pretty well. I think that's almost at 400 views. I mean, that's a lot to me.
It's a lot
Period.
for us.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not for Mr. Beast. And,
But I'm enjoying doing it. Other Daniel makes guest appearances on there.
Cool. Yeah. That's nice.
It's just me in a toboggan.
Oh, I thought we were talking about some kind of schizophrenia.
No, he talks to himself.
Yeah.
I mean, I do too, but I mean, I've found that, like, as long as you talk to yourself, if you're going to ask yourself a question, just don't ask it expecting a genuinely surprising answer.
He always surprises me.
You should probably see somebody.
Is there a
Well,
reason
who am I talking to? You see 20 people at a time. I don't know.
Yeah, I identify with a certain character in this book for a reason.
Q Kelso. Trigger warning. Drug use, blatant racism and racist stereotypes, violence on children. If you're afraid of lobsters.
If you're afraid of infections.
Did it, Chuck? Did it, chum?
Now I'm going to look at you again for another minute and a half and see if you just keep falling off.
Our history with the drawing of the three.
We read the first one, and there was a sequel.
Ryan wanted to do the Dark Tower books, and they're vastly superior to the Five Nights at Freddy's books I made him read, so this seems fair.
Yeah. I read this the first time a couple years ago. It was like right after we started the podcast, like after I think we did The Stand and Phantoms. I read The Gunslinger and The Drawing of the Three. Love them both. Super excited to keep going. And then Daniel said, I have a friend who wants to come on and do the Dark Tower with us. So I stopped. And now we're finally getting to it. And so I had read this one before, but I haven't read the third one, The Wastelands. So I'm really excited for the next episode because that one I have not read, and I'm ready to get into it. But I love this book. I think it's fantastic. It's very different from the first book, but I do think it is better. But we'll get into it.
The vampire's a pure myth, superstition. I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
Background as a dark fantasy novel written by Stephen King and published in May 1987. It is book 2 of the Dark Tower series, which is inspired by the Robert Browning poem Childe Roland to the Dark Tower Came. And the subtitle of this book is Renewal.
And that's that. Another story in the classic, infallible 3-act structure. Good enough for Aristotle, good enough for The Simpsons.
Mr. Sislak, I have a feeling there's going to be one more act to this story.
Well, I'm not hanging around for that. 4 acts.
So let's go to structure and themes, and I'm going to ask Daniel, why do you think the subtitle of this book is Renewal?
I just learned it was Renewal. You got a bunch of people renewing themselves in these quasi-cleansing sort of journeys.
Eddie...
very physically sort of cleansing journeys, too.
Eddie gets off of drugs,
Yeah, Roland has an infection, which it is an infection, but he also has sort of this infectious personality that they're always talking about.
Odetta and Detta finally acknowledge each other.
Yeah, it's a psychological renewal. Mm-hmm. So
you have a physical and emotional and a psychological renewal.
So it doesn't surprise me that that's the subtitle. I just didn't know until just now.
And I'm also wondering if this is the start of their quest for the tower. And we don't know a lot of details yet. But according to Roland, he has to get to the tower to save everything. Which I don't believe that's revealed in the first book. In the first book, we just know he wants to go to the tower. And Eddie is like, you in the fucking tower? Is like, why do you have to get there? You think I would give up the life of Jake and all of you for just anything? I have to get to the tower to save everything. So I'm wondering, he's fighting for this world that has moved on. Is this the beginning of the renewal of Roland's world?
Yes.
I don't know. I think in the first one we kind of got tidbits of the eventual drawing that was going to happen in this book with
is prophesized,
like the prophesized things,
the oracle, the sex oracle.
Yeah. So like I could kind of see renewal being like him being kind of like less of a renewal, more of like a rebirth or a reintroduction to the gunslingers that he's eventually going to make to bring with him on his journey.
Could also just be a renewal of the gunslingers, because up until the drawing, Roland is the last gunslinger, and he's basically just like, he's dead. He's like, oh, he's dying. But by adding Susanna and Eddie and everybody being renewed, it's a renewal of the gunslingers themselves. The knights, the Jedi, the samurai of this world.
I was going to call him Luke Skywalker,
So how did this book differ structure-wise from the Gunslinger, Hev?
Insanely. It's much more character-driven, to me, than the first one is.
Yeah.
This one's all about understanding your characters, getting to the depth of them, and bringing the core idea of what Roland is eventually going to have to train. Like, this is his ensemble, this is his posse that he's gathering. We talked in the first one about how it was kind of like an old Western kind of tale, where so this would be the part of the story where the gunslingers are gathering. You're getting your Magnificent Seven together in a sense.
And this book is very much learning about Eddie and Susanna in the same way where the gunslinger was learning about Roland and his past and what motivates and drives him.
Yeah. This also has a very much it's less episodic in terms of its stories, where the first one has individual stories that kind of shape Roland's character. This one is much more prolonged as far as its actual plot
it sort of does. Each door is kind of its own story.
It's more chronological. I feel like there wasn't a lot of hopping around and where I was in the timeline.
Because there's no flashback. The first one has a bunch of flashbacks.
Yeah.
This was the beginning of what I expected in the first one. This one is much closer to what I would have expected out of a first book. A meeting of your characters and understanding of what your quest is.
A lot of people like to refer to the Gunslinger as a really long prologue.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
It kind of just introduces the world, introduces the protagonist, and gives you a taste of the antagonist. Okay, Daniel, how does this book differ genre-wise from the Gunslinger?
I would say that the genre is the same, but the books just feel so different.
I think it's also kind of a mesh of genres. We talked about the first one being kind of a fantasy horror western.
Yeah, you got a couple more things added in there.
This one you also get kind of a crime noir story as well,
because you got that entire drug sequence, and that kind of reminded me of who played Scarface?
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino. It reminded me of an Al Pacino movie.
And then you also have a section. You have. And then the second door is kind of a historical fiction, God, it was almost like parts of it were almost nonfiction, just learning about the civil rights movement and that struggle. And then the third door has kind of a true crime, like.
And the second door also sort of introduces psychological thriller with the split personalities.
Yeah.
Because it's written very much how, like, a psychological thriller portrays dissociative identity disorder. They keep calling it schizophrenia, though.
We also have a big romance subplot in this book, too. Well, maybe not a big... There is a romance subplot.
I ship it.
Yeah, I also ship it. I think the Dark Tower series is just like King, like, I'm doing every genre.
I'm gonna do everything.
Everything.
There will be a lamp that attacks them.
I also have that one already, like, pulled, ready to go.
Okay, for my 307th book, this couple is attacked by a lamp monster. Ooh, ooh.
You're not even trying anymore, are you? When can I have it?
I really want him to actually write that book.
It's his last book.
Yeah.
What if his last book is a sequel to it, and Pennywise's final form is a lamp?
And she's just a lamp.
Okay. How does the drawing of the three continue the world building that is started in The Gunslinger?
There's a lot of... The world building is kind of what makes, I think, this particular batch of books so different from a lot of the other ones he does. So, which, like you kind of said, there's so much genre mashup where, like, a lot of his other books are pretty singularly focused into, like, specific genres, or at least from what I've read. This one, like, these books do so many different things and so many aspects of writing and, like, pulling you in that, like, really you wouldn't be exposed to in any other way. Like you said, like, there's gangster noir films, there's, you know, the 1940s nonfiction feel, there's all these different things, but they're all still, in a way, because of the way the book's written and because of what's set up from the first one, they're all still part of the same overall worldscape. So they have a lot of, like, it's like every door's a window to just a different part of the world. And it really makes it so that what I like about it is it makes anything work. Everything's believable because it's all connected. It feels, in that metaphor at the end of the book where he talks about, you know, it's just a question of size. I think him visiting all these different worlds in all these different windows and doing all these things makes it very much feel that way, where some worlds are just smaller than others, but it's still one overall, like, I guess, universe, in a sense. So,
multiverse?
Yeah, multiverse in a lot of ways.
I was still listening to half.
When he stopped talking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying not to drone.
I just like how much I got to learn about the lobster's culture.
Did it charm? So, in terms of Roland's world, I don't think we actually get much more world.
Yeah, I didn't think I learned anything.
No, you're still on the beach that he ends in the Gunslinger. You're still on at the end of this book, or at the end of it rather.
I'll tell you how I felt about. I loved this book, but I really identified with Eddie at one point when it came to the world building. When he went, "You and your goddamn tower," I was like, "Yeah, thank you." Like, could you tell me more? Give me some info.
You get just like, you don't get any flashbacks from Roland, but you get him like reminiscing like one or two times where, yeah, I had to kill one of me and I forget his friend, the other gunslinger that was his friend. We had to kill another gunslinger.
Yeah, not Roland.
Yeah, me and not Roland had to kill another gunslinger, and then he mentions that all of the other gunslingers from his class like all die, and he mentioned that there's a civil war that started like 3 years after the death of Court. So you get like a few little teases in his reminiscing, but really, in terms of Roland's world, the world building just kind of comes to a screeching halt.
It stays on the beach.
Yeah, it stays on the beach. But I think we're going to get a lot more in the third book, because the third book is half of the quest to the Dark Tower. 50% of the journey. Halfway there. But we did get a little bit of information on flora and fauna in Roland's world, including wildcats, grasses and greens, dead wood, and lobstrosities. Did it, Chuck? Did it, chum? Did it, Chuck? Did it, chum?
I pinch.
Pinch. Okay, we'll talk about them in scary shit. Okay, themes. I have a bunch written down. I think the biggest one is Ka.
Yeah, Ka.
Ka.
Yeah.
What's this Destiny nonsense?
What is your Ka?
Why, Roland? Why do we have to fucking do this? Oh, don't even tell me. It's because of your fucking Ka. Ka.
I like basically like every single time he brought up the thing, Ka is basically just telling Nettie, you just shut the fuck up and do what I tell you.
You double it and you get the baby word for shit.
Actually, I like that line. That was good.
But I mean, Destiny is probably the biggest theme in the book series, and it's just kind of hard to deny. That's what this book is.
Yeah, everything very like this one very much. I think it's going to happen regardless of what's going to like what transpires or not. Where we're going is where we're going. You can't stop it from happening.
Mm-hmm. And the universe kind of sets up the various characters in a way that you kind of have to join Roland or you're fucked.
Yeah, you're fucked.
Eddie has to join Roland, or he has to stand there naked and explain all these dead bodies
with his brother's head in his lap.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Daniel, what's our second theme?
Drug use and addiction. Are you calling me out?
No.
Okay.
I'm just saying that every time he went little pinch and to Chuck, I see your veins popping up.
Did it Chuck? Did it dumb? Did it chum? Did it chum?
I just really like lobster.
It's good.
Why are you wearing long sleeves tonight, Daniel? Is it to cover something up?
Check between his balls. Check under his balls on the thigh.
Again? I already checked the candle wick already.
Why
can't you take a turn?
Sucking on each other's candles.
Yeah, and there he goes.
Can you expand on the theme of addiction?
I'm addicted to you, Ryan.
Did it Chuck? I just paced around the house just saying, did it Chuck, did it chum? And Emma's like, what? Did it Chuck?
I believe this. I don't even doubt this. I'm surprised the words haven't been banned.
Not yet.
You come at her like this too, like just jumping at her.
I mean, addiction is a through line in the book. You don't just have Eddie being
It's also
addicted.
a main line in the book.
It's also a powdered white line in the book.
But you know, Roland's addicted to getting to his tower.
You and your goddamn tower!
He acts just like a drug addict over it.
Yep. Because he has to save everything.
Yeah, and I want my last fix too, buddy. Just one more.
Not as strong, but you could say that Odetta is addicted to her cause, and Detta is addicted to
stealing
shit. I mean,
no, she's addicted to ruining Honk Maffa's lives, and stealing is just one way to do it.
Yeah, not as strong as like Eddie and Roland's addictions, but that's there.
I love that one of the ways she tried to ruin their lives was by cock teasing them.
Yeah.
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 I was like, is this character me?
Yes. Yes, that character is. It's one of you.
Yeah, it's other Daniel.
It's one of you.
She walks the line between audacity and just obscenity.
She walks the. So I wrote relying on others. What I was trying to get across is Eddie and his need to take care of someone first. It's his brother Henry. Like he basically devotes his whole life to Henry, and now it's Susanna. Well, it was Odetta, and now it's presumably going to be Susanna, and for a portion of time in between it was Roland. Like, you guys know, like, that person who just like likes to make their personality taking care of other people.
Yes.
Are you that person, Daniel?
I don't talk about it.
Thrilling commentary tonight. This show will be on for years to come.
I'm just trying to engage. He just goes, yes.
Okay.
If I wanted something that was just going to tell me yes, I'd go down to the local bar and see what I can hit up.
You also have Roland literally not being the... he's no longer just a lone gunman.
Mm-hmm.
He literally kidnaps people just to not be by himself.
Yep. Okay. Daniel, what about the theme of race? Can you talk to us about that?
Hold on, I need to pull up my list of banned words.
I will just say that I have been picturing Idris Elba this whole time, and it got a little more difficult in this book.
Yeah. I still picturing him as Clint Eastwood, and it got a lot easier. I think it's really funny that Roland seems to have no concept of like race relations because his world is just so different.
I don't think that he's ever acknowledged the race of any character in his world.
It doesn't seem to be something that matters to him like at all.
I don't know if that means that they're all the same race or that they don't acknowledge
because even
race.
when he sees, like, he brings Dead over, he doesn't seem to, like, oh, this is a black person.
Yeah.
It's just, I brought this woman over. I'm like, man, this guy's woke.
Apparently, when the world moves on, it becomes like a Star Trek-esque culture where people don't see color.
And I'm just... I thought that was kind of interesting, because I was sort of wondering how they were going to... Especially when I realized, who the Lady in Shadows was, and I was like, I wonder how Roland's going to react to this. Because I'm sitting here picturing Clint Eastwood, and he brings her over, it's like, yeah, she's in a wheelchair, and she's a different skin color. That's fine, Eddie.
It's true.
The split personality, maybe not so much.
He didn't care that much until Detta tried to kill them.
Yeah, he was like... And he kind of admired it. He's like, man, she's good.
Yeah. He was thinking, like, well, we want Odetta because she's nice, but we need Detta.
These hunk muffas from her world must be awful people.
They're awful monsters. He thinks they're monsters. Because he has no idea.
He doesn't.
It is so... maybe even refreshing just to read about race in this sense where you have at least one character who just doesn't get it at all because his world works functionally different in some way we don't know.
He's scarred, like he's still totally battle scarred, but like is in a way like so innocent of anything. That's, like that.
Like he will go in a room, shoot 12 people, but he will not use a slur.
Only because he doesn't know them.
Yeah, because he doesn't know them.
So that kind of goes into the last thing I wrote down, which is different perspectives, not only of people from different worlds, but also people from the same world, but from different timelines. Yeah.
If I called one of y'all that, I'd get beat up.
I love like the conversations between Odetta and Eddie where they're saying the same thing and they're using different words, and they're only like 20 years apart.
I'm just old enough to have been around when they wanted us to use African American, and now they when I say that, I'm not talking about black people. I just mean in like this general consensus is black is now the preferred term.
No, when growing up it was African American.
So I've gotten to see it. We've gotten to live through a shift.
Yeah.
So
and of course Odetta is from the 60s, and at that time they used Negro.
Yeah. Which,
just saying that, like, makes me feel like...
Even I wasn't going to say it, because I'm like, I will get beat up.
Yeah. And then Eddie is from the 80s, where they used black, which in the 90s they shift to African American, and now we're back to using black.
Yeah.
No judgment on any of these terms, just saying what it is.
Those are just facts.
Yeah. But not only just that, like the way that they talk about, like, she makes pop culture references that he doesn't understand. He makes pop culture references she doesn't understand.
And Roland doesn't get any of it.
Yeah, he doesn't get any of it.
What is a movie? What is this Aston?
It's like a play. Have you seen a play? I have not seen a play since the walls of Gilead still stood.
That's like the most British thing that you could possibly hear. Just like,
and then also just like talking about drugs, like she didn't know what
heroin,
freebasing.
Yeah, freebasing. Yeah.
Which apparently didn't exist in the 60s. according to this book, which I didn't fact check, but
I'm just gonna trust this isn't a Goosebumps situation. And Stephen King checked.
Oh, John. Oh, John Lindquist.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Let's go on to characters, and we're going to start with Roland Duchesne of Gilead, the gunslinger. And the first, I want to hear...
Hiya! Happy Easter!
Also, what you think of Roland in this book, but how have your feelings on Roland changed from the gunslinger to the drawing on of the three, assuming they have?
It's a complete positive for me. The when he drinks the Pepsi was probably the high point of his character growth for me. I'm sitting there just
was
listening.
this a drug? Was this heroin?
What is this?
Why would anyone?
This is what he needs.
Why would anyone buy heroin when sugar is so cheap and readily available?
And there's paper everywhere. They live like gods here.
The general ignorance that he has about how the other worlds work, I think really made him more endearing to me, because it's that little bit of innocence that I needed to just kind of have the character actually be a character for me. Because in the first one I really struggled with Roland as a character, because I really wasn't sure of what his vibe was. I wasn't really sure of really he himself. He just seemed like this just battle-hardened kind of individual, and I'm just as a character, that just doesn't really interest me. But then you get to this book, and you have all these little quirks, all these little things that are brought out by all the other characters coming into it. And some of them are just so genuinely funny, because, just the absolute absurdity of having this very badass individual that has done more in his lifetime than anybody ever would or should see is going nuts because he just took a drink of Pepsi.
I will have a popkin. I don't know what tuna fish is, but it is delicious.
I could go for some tuna fish right now.
The hot dogs tasted like cow ass compared to the tuna fish.
But it's so genuine, and I think that's what I was kind of looking for Roland out of this book, was I just wanted some genuine moments of just actual I feel you, bud. I feel you.
I just think he needed more stuff to play off of. He reminded me, this is a weird example because it's not personality-wise, but just sort of reaction-wise. I've been rewatching Dragon Ball, and every time Goku encounters something new, this is what it reminds me of.
What he reminds me of reading through this book is actually Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Just because the when you were talking, I have not seen something since the walls or whatever, I immediately heard Drax in my head go, nothing gets past me. My reflexes are too fast.
So they're on the beach, and Roland is gone. He's out getting firewood or something, and Eddie and Suzanne they're kissing. There's some heavy petting. They're getting down to it, and then they turn, and Roland is standing there, and they say, "Roland, what are you doing?" "You do not see me. I am standing so perfectly still, I cannot be seen."
I don't want to spoil anything, but I did start reading the third book, and that scene basically happens.
Good. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like not only the humor, but King is purposely trying to make him more likable.
Yeah, he did let a child die in the last book.
He did. And he didn't have in the first book, there's no justification for it other than I have to get to the tower. In this book, we learn that Roland believes
that the tower will save everything.
Which still I don't think it makes it okay to ice a child.
I 100% agree, but
at least King is trying to make him more likable.
It's an attempt. I would have even been okay with it if he would have had that line in the first book just somewhere.
But King also punishes Roland by making him witness Jake's first death, which makes him that was kind of sad. He's this is my punishment. I sacrificed Jake for my quest of the tower, and now I have to watch Jake die again. But yeah, no, I think it's very easy to say I like Roland in this book more than in the first one, but okay. But Roland is not my favorite character in this book, And I would be shocked if anybody said that their favorite character was anyone other than Eddie Dean, the prisoner. Daniel, what do you think of Eddie?
I relate to him entirely too much.
This poor fuck. He's trying his best and he just can't get there. He just can't quite get there. Him in the airplane thing was like, I got weird. I'm trying to like explain this. So I have never been on an airplane, but like him sitting there carrying all the drugs and then just having this thing where people are watching him, you keep getting told that other people are watching him. That was anxiety filled as shit to me. Not only because it's just like an airplane security, but I'm sitting there just thinking about it and I'm like, I would be going fucking nuts.
I have never been a drug mule, but yeah, I imagine it's a terrible experience.
Yeah, and the way that it's like pulled all together is just like, from his perspective especially, is like he's just trying to get across. He's not trying to do anything else other than just be like, please let me get off the plane. That's all I want to do.
I will tell you that my experience going through airport security is they make you feel like you're doing something wrong when 90% of the time you're not. Yeah. So I can't imagine doing it while carrying drugs.
Well, this was also the 80s where people just like took guns on planes and then drove them to Cuba.
Yeah, I mean this is a pre 9/11 world.
That's what I was thinking about when I was reading this, and I was like, man, the 80s were cool. They didn't have drug sniffing dogs at the airport. I just had to like hope they didn't check my boxers.
Yeah. I love Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, it's great. And before I realized like how bad off Eddie was, all I was thinking like the first little bit was like, man, this guy seems like fun.
Yeah. Do you think that he and Roland are kind of a pair, like morality wise? I mean, like Eddie didn't kill a kid, but I mean he is being a drug mule in order to get more drugs.
I don't know. In orders of magnitude of where I rank things, I put drug mules like 5 spots below child killer.
I probably put it like 10 spots. But I mean, like they make a point of saying that the gunslingers that Roland is drawing are not like, they're not the Knights of the Round Table.
I mean, that's good. You go want to be able to shoot somebody.
With Eddie, I mean, even if he is like, he has his down points, you do kind of feel like they make it a point to have Eddie be kind of like, in a way, kind of the reader's focal point, because like his responses are basically like, this is all absurd, but I really don't have a choice, do I? Like, he more than anybody else is the character that I think you identify the most with in the book, because he's just kind of along for the ride and he does not like it, but he's just going to have to deal with it.
He does accept it really fast.
He does. But to be fair, if somebody was talking to me and nobody ever talked to me ever in my head other than me, I would probably be I'd be less reluctant to think it was just a trick of the mind.
So I've worked in psych for 7 years, and there are so many people who, for just decades of their life, never heard a voice, and then they did, and they just instantly accepted it as real because they never heard it before.
Yeah. I don't think I'm that strong of mind.
Yeah.
If some dude came through me through a bathroom cubicle and it was just like, you're coming with me, I'm just like, yeah, I am.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is they just all go, yeah, I mean, I guess. Because as soon as you see something or feel something or hear something that's so completely out of your ordinary, you're just like, it has to be real. Yeah.
So fun little segue here. One of my favorite things about like one of my favorite ways that mental, like brainwashing, like somebody's talking to you in your head, was ever like actually portrayed was actually an episode of Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
There's an episode where Bruce like gets a head injury and he has this bandage wrapped around his head, and behind the bandage is like this it's like a microchip that basically goes into his head, and the villain of the episode is talking to him and actually like being like, Bruce, this is Bruce, you gotta stop doing this. And he's like, you're not me, I know you're not me. And then it gets to the end of the episode and Terry is like, so how did you know that you weren't crazy? Like, when you have somebody actively talking to yourself in your head and you like are sure that it's not, how are you so sure it's not you?
I don't call myself Bruce.
Right there. He's like, I don't call myself Bruce in my mind. Like, I was just like thinking about that and I'm like, maybe that's what I should do. Like, just call myself something different in my head so that way if ever it calls me by any other name, I know it's not an actual thing that's happening to me right now.
That's why I call him Mother Daniel.
Just be another personality emerging.
Yeah. I didn't say it was foolproof.
Since we have 7.
He does. And you and you and you and you and you and me.
I'm gonna kick all of your asses. All right. Odetta Holmes / Detta Walker / Susanna, a.k.a. the Lady of Shadows.
I was sitting at work listening to this book, and I went, I have no idea how I'm supposed to talk about this. All I want to say is honk my fuzz all night.
I mean, we don't have to...
She was over the top to the point of annoyance for me.
Okay.
Like Detta specifically, just like her... And
Anything comments on it?
It's probably it's like one of those King-isms. I think that like you just kind of have to like get past every so often. But man, this one was so hard to get past because it was just so obliquely over the top.
Yeah, I don't think he would write this character. Well, at least not in this way today.
No. I like that Eddie goes, she's acting like a stereotype, dude. It's like some sort of racist movie.
He calls her a cartoon at one point.
Yeah.
So just let's focus on Odetta. What do you think of her?
I feel bad for her.
I don't feel like we got a lot to know a lot because, like, that's the kind of the problem where you have like the shy, like kind of humble character, and then you have like her split personality, which is basically just the most offensive thing you've heard in a while. It's hard to remember Odetta for me. Like, I just remember the parts where she comes out and everything's nice and sweet and happy, and it's just like, you know, unremarkable as far as a storytelling standpoint. And then you've got the other side of it, which is quite potentially just the most offensive thing that I've heard in quite some time. And I'm just like, look, I get it, but damn, can we move on?
She let Eddie smash so she gets a pass.
Well, Odetta let Eddie smash. Detta didn't.
Yeah, we're talking... Yeah, I asked about Odetta.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's fine. I just don't feel like to me, I didn't get a lot out of her because her other personality was just so much over the top. I couldn't not focus on it.
I started taking notes on how to insult white people.
Just call them honk mofos.
You'd be surprised how offended some of them get.
I had a bottle thrown at me once on the street.
Yeah.
Like somebody drove by, threw a bottle, and it smashed against the side of the wall, and I had genuinely no reaction other than, that seemed dumb. And I feel like I would be very little different here. Just be like, this seems dumb. What are you doing? I would be generally nonplussed by a reaction on that.
I'll kill you all! I'll drive you crazy, and I'll kill you all! I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
Scary shit. Is this book scary?
No.
I thought being eaten alive was one of your greatest fears. Did it chuck? Did it chum?
I found those things absolutely goofy.
Did it chuck? Did it chum?
I was playing a lot of Pokemon Go when I was playing this, and I kept seeing... I thought my game was trolling me.
Kept getting like Corefish?
No, the other one.
Crabby?
Crab crawler or something. It's the blue one that's like turns into some kind of missile launcher.
Yeah.
I was catching like so many of those as I was reading this book, and I'm just like, I think this is Google knowing what I'm listening to.
Yeah.
On the plus side, I have a crab with a rocket launcher on its arm.
I think the scary parts are just like the getting fucked up by a random stranger. Like, I'm sitting in this, I'm just gonna hurl this brick at this kid. I'm just gonna shove this girl in front of a subway.
I literally just watched people get shoved onto subways on X today. People do it as games now. In New York.
What's an X?
Twitter.
I do not miss that website.
That's what it's called now, is X?
Yeah, it's what it's been for like 3 or 4 months or something like that. You're not missing anything. I'm sorry, you're missing people getting shoved in front of subways.
Apparently, yeah. I mean, it's not my primary source of entertainment.
I mean, I
Now I'm
also
just
saw that on
sad.
the news.
Now I'm just sad. It's like, I thought people, like... Is it sad that I now look to the point where I'm just like, man, maybe Tide Pods weren't too bad?
At least you're doing that to yourself.
Yeah.
It's okay. When I take over and I institute my death games, people will be a little bit more polite.
True.
So, who'd you guys picture in your head as you were reading this?
For
these other two characters?
For Eddie, just like a nobody specific, just nondescript white guy.
Okay, because mine kept switching between John Belushi and the dude who played Luigi in the live-action Mario Brothers movie.
Charlie Day.
Yeah, those were the two that kept coming up in my brain.
That's interesting.
And Odetta was Whoopi Goldberg. So their sex scene was really funny.
I don't think I pictured anyone in particular for Odetta either. I don't normally picture, like, specific people.
I always do.
Unless, like, I know the character from something else previously.
Mm-hmm. I know the sex scene in my head was very much not something I should describe.
Yeah,
Spin 'em.
Reverse cowboy.
Well, especially with no legs either. Like, 'cause I'm sitting there just being like...
half legs.
Well...
My little
not in my
hot dog baby legs.
There's so many FDR thoughts in my head when I was thinking of that.
We go to Coney Island.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Put my face in that Nickelodeon.
I'm gonna have to avoid making a meme of that now.
I kept imagining, like, the sea being next to them and washing up, and then, like, his feet are cold, but hers aren't.
The Lobstrosities are just sitting there watching.
Yeah.
Nibbling on his toes.
I love it when you suck my toes. I'm not sucking your toes right now.
Oh God! Get up! Get up! Get up! Okay.
One of my coworkers wouldn't stop talking about toe sucking last night.
Do you have a foot fetish?
I don't know if she does, but she kept bringing it up. I'm like, why are you on this kick?
Oh, huh.
Oh my God! Are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
Kings and Koontz. My king is the humor / Eddie.
Yeah, my king is also the humor / Eddie. I found this book surprisingly funny.
I think it's maybe his funniest book, except for maybe It.
I think Roland leaving that guy in front of the train was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
I was like, so few times do I feel like the villain, or a villain, like, gets what they deserve in, like, the most maximum way possible.
I don't know. That was a really quick death.
I don't know.
I guess he was on fire prior to that. Yeah.
And he was feeling everything that was going on.
Yeah.
Put me out!
Put me out! Put me out!
I'm not done yet. I really kind of want to visit just the aftermath of that and just listen to a lot of the cops talk. What happened?
You two are better gunslingers than the other two. Do not follow me.
That was a fun thing.
It would be ashamed to kill you.
That whole, like, last little stint there was actually really enjoyable.
Yeah,
like,
I really like the climax of this book.
that whole section was really good.
It went pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. Enjoy it. So that was your king.
Yeah, my king was him leaving him in front of the train while he was on fire, because sometimes you just gotta kill him.
I don't know what my Koontz is for this book.
Mine's the Lobstrosities.
Oh, I love Lobstrosities.
It's not that they exist or even they're talking, it's just the name. I think the name is so goofy. And if that's the worst thing I have to say about this book.
Yeah, I don't know that I can really think of a Koontz.
Odetta was just, or not Odetta, but Odetta was just so over the top sometimes it was just distracting to me.
He got sick of Hong Mofas.
Hong Mofas? It's because nobody's going down on his candle.
I mean, maybe I'm just not...
I can fix that for you.
I don't know. Like, I just couldn't latch on to that. Like, those parts to me were just so annoying.
Ranking, Daniel.
Okay, it's above the Gunslinger, so let me find that.
Number 19.
I think I'm going to put it right above the Eyes of the Dragon. I just really like the Only Good Indians.
New number 18. Below the Only Good Indians and above the Eyes of the Dragon.
It's number 6. It's also above the Gunslinger.
And below Dracula.
Yeah.
Mine's my new number 8. Below the Eyes of the Dragon and above the Gunslinger. Hoo-ha. Hoo-ha.
Hoo-ha.
Hello, Mr. Stein.
Hello, Mr. Black. Who's that? He's the new drama teacher.
Zombie Day. I thought it was really interesting for Stephen King to kind of give like some
the reference to the movie
that he absolutely hates.
Yeah.
So him talking about The Shining, I thought that was kind of fun. Also, just wanted to shout out lobstrosities. So the term lobstrosities has been co-opted by the Stephen King fan base to refer to films that are based on Stephen King properties and stories and characters, but are not adaptations of his specific works. So an example would be like The Rage, Carrie 2, all of the Children of the Corn sequels.
You mean he didn't write 8 Children of the Corn books?
I think it's
short stories.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So those are referred to in the King fandom as lobstrosities.
Okay.
Yes. So
that is fun trivia, actually.
Homework. You are drawn as one of Roland's new gunslingers. What is your origin story? What new aspects of our world do you introduce to Roland? And how do you interact with the rest of the party?
You go first.
Me first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. So, I'm playing Magic, and Roland comes into my head as I'm playing a game against somebody, and I'm getting skunked real bad. And Roland has no idea what he's dealing with, and he's just seeing all these magical things upon the paper and thinks that they are stories of magicians. So he thinks he's wandered into a world of magicians. So he pulls me in.
Most of them are fake.
The only thing I have in my hand is now my magic deck. I then introduce Roland to trading card games. And at some point we enter a world where basically Roland and I are duelists and the entire world is basically Yu-Gi-Oh! Where instead of guns and weaponry, everybody just slings fucking magic decks around at all times, and they're just constantly like street duels with magic decks. And that's just one of the worlds we visit.
So, I am my origin story is I'm a professional player on the Super Smash Brothers tournament scene, and when he draws me, he goes into my head while I'm into when I'm in a game, and he comes forward and he takes the GameCube controller, and he says, like, what are these demons that you are facing? And I'm like, well, I have to vanquish these demons in order to get my just rewards. So he takes Link, and he's going up against Captain Falcon. He gets Falcon punched straight off the scene, and he goes, what just happened? And I said, well, you got Falcon punched. And he said, why does this happen? I said, because it is your caw.
Imagine your call is just being Falcon punched. That's the worst kind of call.
It sucks.
Roland enters my head when I am in a HR meeting for all of my coworkers that I'm hitting on. And I am going to introduce him to the concept of modern dating in your 30s.
The drawing of the 6. The drawing of the quarters, I think, in your case.
And,
the drawing of the pantaloons.
The crotch breathes.
And he is going to answer all of my HR questions in these very Roland-esque, almost Tism-like deadpan ways. He did not say that.
So, I don't understand what the problem with sucking upon breasts is. We need milk.
And when I get pulled back to his world, I just spend my time going, why do we only have one chick?
And why is she Lieutenant Dan?
Damn it, that's good. That's it.
Okay. For further reading, I recommend these in the last one, The Lord of the Rings, The Talisman. Really good. Really cool. Yep. Anybody else? No? All right.
I get the feeling that I'm going to be recommending a series, but I want to see how the third one plays out to see if it's going to keep up with the same tone.
All right. Cool. Upcoming on the Horror of Babylon next Sunday, February 11th, we are wrapping up Goosebumps coverage for now with Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween. And then your next reading assignment will be due on Sunday, February 18th, where we are reading the Washington Irving short story, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And our next 2 bonus episodes, on Thursday, February 8th, we are releasing our episode on the Nick Cage Ron Perlman classic Season of the Witch, which we have recorded and I have edited and I think is a lot of fun. That's a good episode. And then we are getting our Brittany Murphy on Thursday, February 15th, where we take a little drive out to scenic Cherry Falls.
That was the name of the strip club I worked in.
I tipped over.
It's fine. It's not. I don't work there anymore.
Abigail the First, breaker
of Goron.
Mother of
Link.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Breaker
really cool.
Goron's mother of Link. God damn.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Logan the Second, the Full Metal
Deku.
Yeah, that's not bad. Okay.
No, that means something different for the kids these days.
Is that a...
My Hero Academia?
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. His name is Midoriya. No, it's this little kid with the seed kid. That's why when everybody started talking about Deku, I was like from Zelda?
Yeah, like the little tree people?
Yeah, and Ben, the fourth. Patron
of
Rupees.
It's not a race.
No, that's Mia. Mia, she's the rupee maker. She
that's how she has to be.
She makes it rain. Rupees.
Wait, what's Ganondorf's people called?
Is it the Sheikah?
The Sheikah. Sheikah.
Yeah.
Because like he's the only
guy. He's the only
because
guy.
they're like a race of women.
Yeah, he's the patron of Sheikah.
Yeah.
Good job, Ben.
Good job.
I've
and Mia the Fifth, the rupee maker.
She makes it
rain, rupees.
He's gonna break all of our pots.
Yeah. And for Epona, Comics and Gaming. Which you can visit at the ranch in the middle of Hyrule Field.
And if you play the song of Epona, Ronald Mr. Christmas will show up at your doorstep.
you look to the horizon, and Ron is on the top of the hill. And he runs up, and he's got Daniel's newest Superman comic in his teeth.
That's like 3 of my fetishes all rolled up into one.
Okay. Thank you guys for reading the Drawing of the Three and recording with me tonight.
It was a good time.
It was. I really enjoyed it. I'm excited for more.
Yep. And thank you to our patrons. Stay tuned for our socials and stay scary.
Stay scary, everybody.
Stay scary, folks.
Did it chuck? Did it chum?
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.
right, guys, we gotta stop sucking on each other's candles and get this episode started. Put away that gray meat.
Racial slur incoming.
Oh, are we allowed to do that now?
No, has to go up Sunday. We can talk about each other's candles, but
okay.
I guess we can call each other hunky mofos, but
okay, I'm gonna bring.
I can't decide which Zelda game title best describes Daniel's sex life. It's either Breath of the Wild or Four Swords Adventure. Twilight Princess can maybe describe a couple chapters.
I think each of them could describe a chapter.
Like every morning it's Skyward Sword.
Yeah. Majora's Mask was, my introduction to roleplay.
A Link to the Past was your marriage.
Damn it, that's good.
And then the last chapter will be Diminish Cap.
A Link Between Worlds was his first threesome.
And when he dies, it'll be the Spirit Tracks.
That happened like 2 weeks after my wife left me.
No. His first sexual encounter was the Phantom Hourglass.
Sounds more like the Phantom Menace. Am I wrong?
That's the Minish Cap, you know what I'm saying?
Oh! You let that girl Darth Maul you?
The worst part is I brought this all on myself.
A girl you want to come over and have some Qui-Gon gin and juice?
Oh, that reminds me. Send.